Support for Latino Americans on the South Plains comes from the Texas Tech University Division of Institutional Diversity, Equity, and Community Engagement.
No, I think it's imperative that we share these stories, and it feels a little bit self-serving, and it feels a little bit self-aggrandizing. On the one hand, I think it's tough to say, use me as an example. On the other hand, there are things in our lives as Latinos that we share, and we have to use those as examples of opportunities of strength and resiliency. And I think it's important to share with people and young people and people that aren't familiar with Latino history, Latino families, Latino culture, that many of the things that we've gone through, you've gone through. But there are things that we've gone through that you haven't gone through. And you understanding those stories, you'll better understand us. I remember one time in West Texas sharing a story, okay, about being poor and Latino in East LA and standing in line for federal cheese. Now, I tell that story and a lot of people smirk and laugh because they remember what it was like to get those bricks of cheese. I say bricks because that's how hard the cheese was. And it was a color that wasn't natural for cheese. It was like an orange, yellow. It wasn't like an organic. I'm sure there was some preservatives in there. And they would give these blocks of cheese to the poor families, right? So you would see a line of people in line, to receive a couple of bricks of cheese, right? I remember standing in that line, coming back, giving that to my mom, and she said, "Quítate la camisa, ponte para atrás en fila. Take off your shirt and get in line." Again. I thought surely they would recognize me. But when 300 little Latino boys are in line, I wasn't discernible. I remember getting that cheese and coming back and seeing that cardboard box that you knew that cheese was in all summer. One time I told that story in West Texas, and this big old cowboy comes up to me and goes, "Son," I didn't know what he was going to tell me. He goes, "I remember that line, but for me, it was butter and bread." That's what his mother made him stand in line for. Cheese in East LA, butter and bread in West Texas, a common experience of poverty, resiliency, and hope. And so that's why it's important to tell these stories, so that we have a narrative of hope, a narrative of aspiration, a narrative that it's not just where we come from as Latinos, but where we end as Latino Americans.